a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week, we're watching Wonder Man on Disney+, Memory of a Killer on Fox, Agatha Christie's 7 Dials on Netflix, and Star Trek Starfleet Academy on Paramount+.
So stay tuned to the end to find out what BJ's favorite movie is.
Well, while I decide, how about you tell us about a working actor?
You're talking about Wonder Man on Disney+. My husband, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, plays Simon, an aspiring actor and film nerd with much more bubbling under the surface, including maybe powers. Supporting him is the too good for him agent Janelle, played by X Mayo, and new pal Trevor, played by Ben Kingsley.
So speaking of Simon with maybe powers, how did you feel about this very much Marvel superhero show without any superpowers?
Let me reverse that to you as the beloved nerd in my life. How did it feel to watch a superhero show with the suggestion of powers? Because for me, just to briefly share my thoughts, it was interesting to see the simmering tension, but I'm curious, as my superhero nerd friend, did you need to see like explosions and a fight and a villain and all of these things introduced sooner?
I wanted it sooner. I get what they're doing because we learn that Simon has to hide his powers. Superheroes aren't allowed to film shows in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have showed us a little bit more. It was just a hint of like, if he doesn't control his emotions, something might happen. But what?
What I will say happened is a different kind of electricity, and that was the chemistry between Simon and Trevor. Simon seems so lonely, and he seems so focused specifically on acting. We watch some tough relationship stuff at the beginning of this episode, and when Trevor comes in, I can't even tell if Trevor is good for him, bad for him, this, that. It just is nice to see him have a fellow film nerd companion.
And it doesn't take much for Trevor to become his new friend and supporter. And it's also nice to see Trevor's character again for anyone who saw the Shang-Chi movies. It's that same character who played Mandarin, which is referenced. And I think he adds a lot more fun to Simon, who seems stressed and maybe a little too worried.
Yes, I'm going to steal your phrase that you shared before we started recording, which is, this was entertainingly cringy, meaning Simon has this deep passion for films. This show feels like a love letter to filmmaking and films and Hollywood and LA. And we see Simon and Trevor at an audition, and Simon starts to get in his head. And we already know how that works out for him at the beginning of the episode as a light spoiler, where there is a scene that is so uncomfortable when he's too in his head, too overthinking about acting, that I watched this with my hair braider. Usually she talks through everything we watch, and through this, she just couldn't even form words. She was so uncomfortable. All I heard behind my head was just, ooh, oh no. And so, I mean, it was so uncomfortable that it got my girl to not talk through it, which means that you really feel how much he wants this, how much he needs this, how much he cares. And what I love about his interactions with Trevor is that Trevor seems to be there to kind of get him out of his head. Like before this audition moment that we see them together in, Trevor tells him, empty your lungs, shut down your frontal lobe, go on instinct. And he tells him, I think, to just exhale completely before his audition. And we see Simon do some really beautiful work after that, but it's just, he needs that person to bring him out of his shell a bit.
It took some work to get there. And you make a great point. The fact that Simon's behavior can bring out such strong emotion from an audience, I think is a testament to the writing, to the acting, to the directing. And I think Simon's behavior is a testament to why film projects are a team effort. You can't have one person making all the decisions.
No, you can't. You can't have somebody who is so obsessed and so in the weeds, and suddenly we're not thinking about the bigger picture and moving this thing along, which is what Janelle was trying to tell him. Just a shout out to ex Mayo and this character. She's just so charming. I felt so tired for her as his agent in the brief moments we get to meet her in this first episode.
She was just trying to do her job.
Yeah. With that, do you want to watch more episodes of Wonder Man on Disney Plus and hopefully see Simon do more of his job?
I think so. I would watch again casually. I will be patient and wait to see these superpowers. And I'm really curious to see if Simon can get out of his own head to become the actor he wants to be. How do you feel?
I'm going to shock you.
Uh-oh.
I want to watch more of this, probably casually, because I want to see a show about friendship. You know, I love friendship. You don't have to sigh like that. Y'all, BJ just gave me a little side eye. I love the study of friendship. I think that is so interesting. And so I will watch again casually. Obviously, I've seen the entire show because I am, again, married to Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. But if I were not married to him, I would be watching again casually.
You didn't reveal that you've already seen the whole show. Interesting.
All right. Well, why don't you take us from the Hollywood Hills to a sleepy town with a copy salesman?
You're talking about Memory of a Killer on Fox, when hitman Angelo, played by Patrick Dempsey, is hit with early onset Alzheimer's. His worlds collide, putting his family in danger.
Ooh.
So me too. We love a good mystery. We love an unreliable narrator that makes us, the viewers, question what's happening on the screen. What do you think of this new twist on those concepts?
That it's exactly that. It's just a new take, a different take on this concept. I feel like you and I have watched so many: The Girl on the Train, The Woman in the Window, The Lady by Herself in the House, The Lady Who's Really Worried About What Her Neighbor Got Going On, The Woman on the PTA Board, like whatever
Best
these
one.
shows are. I think Kristen Bell even did a spoof of one.
Yeah.
And the unreliable narrator piece, it's typically due to like alcohol or some kind of traumatic thing, and they briefly lose their memory, or substance use. And in this case, I think it's interesting to have it as early onset Alzheimer's, where it seems like he is having some little things here and there. Like we see him forget a PIN code. We see him put something away that in a different place than he remembered doing so. And I imagine it will only escalate versus like in one of those, The Girl on the Window on the Train, where it's like I had a very drunk night and now I don't know anything that happened that night. For him, it's going to be like a decline into this.
Yes, I think we will see this start to escalate as he has more incidences where maybe he forgets something, or maybe he starts to lose some of his balance. Because as a hitman, he also needs to be agile, ready to take people down, because he's more like a secret agent. But it does make me curious because a big part of the show is his own family. He has a pregnant daughter who has a partner. Will they start to notice any of these changes?
And he has his contract killer family, including his boy Dutch, played by Michael Imperioli, where he seems very close to the people that he is a contract killer around and for. He is very close and dedicated to his daughter and his first grandchild. Doesn't feel strongly about the son-in-law, but whatevs.
Fair.
And we know that his wife was killed. And so we know that he is his daughter's remaining living parent. And yet, with these close relationships, it only makes it harder that he is experiencing this issue, because it feels like he can't trust anyone. Like you said, if he relies on his daughter as his memory issues increase, what if he lets slip things about his other life? Or if he trusts Dutch about his memory issues, now he's revealing personal information that he really doesn't want people to know about the fact that he has a daughter, where she is, and what's going on in his life outside of killing for money.
And he might lose his jobs if they think he's not fit to kill people anymore.
And one of those jobs, the copy salesman or whatever his daughter thinks he is, probably severance, some kind of exit package. The other one, I don't think there's sort of a offboarding ramp for contract killers. Y'all let me know.
No.
Actually, don't.
Leave her blind.
I don't want to know. I love being ignorant about that. Don't tell me if there's a 401k payout, something like that, or IRA. Don't tell me.
If you are HR for a contract killer, give us hints.
Do not email us at askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com.
Fine. Can you at least tell us what you think of Memory of a Killer on Fox?
I would say for Memory of a Killer, the concept is interesting, but we got into this less in our review. It was just paced so slowly for me that I think I will give this maybe one more episode to see if the action picks up, if the pace picks up. But as it stands, the way that this story and conflict is meted out, it just didn't hook me. And I'm curious about the sustainability of this kind of storytelling where our narrator is going to become very unreliable.
I agree with that sustainability concern. So I would put this at would not watch again. I am interested in the mystery of who might be going after either side of Angelo's lives, whether it's the hitman life or his copier, printer, salesman life. But it didn't really ramp up the tension or the suspense in a way that would get me coming back week to week.
I agree.
How about you tell us about another mystery, but set in the 1920s?
You're talking about Agatha Christie's 7 Dials on Netflix. When a lavish country house party ends in murder, a witty young aristocrat named Bundle, played by Mia McKenna Bruce, sets out to solve the mystery in this adaptation of an Agatha Christie novel.
So me too. To be upfront, this is only a 3-part miniseries.
Yes.
But the creators of the show, really stretched out this first episode.
Whew. And it's interesting because it's just the 3 episodes. So it's clear maybe in this story, or let me not say clear, but to me, it appears they didn't have 3 hours of things to say. And so we really relied on some banter, some long looks, some skulking around things and looking around, just trying to stretch and vamp a bit. What I think they did do well, though, is because Bundle and her mom, Lady Caterham, played by Helena Bonham Carter, are kind of broke, it seems. They rent out their home, and because a murder happens in their home as it's rented out, there's a ton of great kooky characters.
Yes, it's always fun when you have some of these aristocratic people who are hosting lavish parties, having people stay at their estate, because we're seeing a huge mix of people, lots of staff who are suspicious. We have ladies and lords who are suspicious. And we have Bundle and her friends and the people around her who are suspicious.
Yes, I like that you can't quite put a finger on who done it or why. We just know that there's definitely been a murder because Bundle suspects it. But of course, as is classic in these mysteries, the cop investigating it does not believe that something suspicious has happened.
Yeah. It always goes that way, but we need that one person, that budding sleuth who sees that there is a mystery that needs to be solved.
She said, "Why are there 7 clocks on this mantle? Everyone, tap into how weird this is."
7 dials? What?
I also liked mysterious Martin Freeman. This is not a spoiler. He's on the poster. I'm not revealing anything because I don't know who he is either based on this first episode. But I like the introduction of just having him skulk about.
Just looking suspicious, walking around. Camera turns to him. We still don't know what he's doing.
Don't know his name.
Which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
we still notice him. We're still talking about him. So he left an impact.
I also like our lead. I like Bundle. I like a story about a precocious young girl who solves a mystery, especially in this time period. There's going to be so much of them being like, women don't do that. Ladies don't do this. Girls, with brains. And so I think that'll be fun to watch as well. And she has this deep personal motivation to find out what happened to the person, not only because of her personal relationship with them, but also because of the relationship that they had with her late brother.
Yes. And the stakes are pretty real. Not only do we have a murder, she's calling it a murder, but we see that whoever is behind this is going to do whatever it takes to keep it covered.
Yes. We have a sleuth in the making, and what a case to cut her teeth on.
Those are some very eloquent words. And in the spirit of Agatha Christie, will you support her in this latest adaptation of one of her novels?
Yes, even though this first episode was kind of slow, it is ultimately 3 episodes. I am ultimately someone who once had my entire family go to an Agatha Christie themed restaurant for a murder mystery dinner theater when I turned, I think, 13 or 14. Just something really cool, hip kids do.
Oh.
And so because of that history I have with Agatha Christie, I will tune in and finish all 3 episodes. But I would say if you are not Mystery Hive, if you never went to the Agatha Christie themed murder dinner theater.
Not hip or cool. Right.
If you weren't hip, cool, as we would say back in the day, crunk, then I don't think this is the show that brings you in.
You got crunk at the Agatha Christie murder mystery dinner.
Honestly, I felt like I was flying. You know when you enter a room and you're like, wow, everyone here is for me and I'm for them. That is the feeling I had. Except for everyone sitting directly with me. Like my brother, miserable. My mother,
That's
miserable. Fair. My very close friends that I dragged along, miserable. So like no one around me happy. Except for my very closest friend. Her mom loved it. We had a time.
You and a mom were vibing?
Yes.
With this room full of Agatha Christie fans?
Yes. So me, her, everybody else in the room, but anyone related to me otherwise, unhappy.
Well, that shows how much they loved you.
Yeah.
Love you.
For some of them, maybe it did finish that night. Maybe it would be past tense. Like, maybe my brother just hasn't sort of liked me since then. Just a little bit of him is always thinking about that night.
I wonder if you brought it up, he'd be like, yeah, I remember that. 100%.
Or if it's the opposite, like he just, for his own safety, blocked it out. Because I do remember the way that his eyes truly glazed over. Like he truly went somewhere else in his brain to pass the time.
I like that idea that your family's like, we just don't remember you having a 13th birthday party. Yeah. So strange.
Did you ever turn 13?
You just skipped a year and we accepted that.
It's so fun.
And with that, I will just add in that I would watch this again while folding laundry. There's only 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
I'm curious where Bundle goes with this, but these episodes are long and slow, so might as well do something else while I'm watching.
That's fair. Why don't you take us from the English countryside to the sky?
You're talking about Star Trek, Starfleet Academy on Paramount Plus. Starfleet Academy follows the first new class of Starfleet cadets in over a century as they come of age and train to be officers. They are taught aboard the USS Athena, a ship that docks at the Starfleet Academy campus in San Francisco, but can also be deployed with the rest of the fleet. So, Mitu, I have heard some people call this Star Trek YA edition.
Yeah.
What do you think of this youthful show about Star Trek cadets in school?
Classic coming of age story, which I like. I feel like we have had many different iterations of Star Trek. I've seen a few of them by nature of the person I live with and love, who is not Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, but could be. And I like that we have this take now of it being at an academy. We do have that in animated form on the excellent animated series Lower Decks. But
we reviewed that as well.
But we have that now as a live action. And I think that's fun. And I like it for a couple reasons. One, you have the democratization of confusion. Like everyone just doesn't understand what's going on. We're going to watch them all grow together. And we are set after this cataclysmic event that happens in Star Trek Discovery. So they're really rebuilding this institution as well. Like, what does it mean to be in Starfleet? What does it mean to train cadets into this? And so I like that we're also getting to question through the perspective of these incoming people, this institution of the Federation. I think that makes for an interesting story. Like, what does a rebuild look like? I love stuff like that, where it's like when you take everything away, what is the human or alien response to that?
It reminds me of the rebooted franchise of movies where we see everyone coming together for the first time, but an even fresher take because we literally watched the cast learning how to do things in this first episode, kind of on the scene training. And I like that we have this core group, which you see in a lot of coming of age shows with these young adults. And I think there's this nice camaraderie we're going to watch develop as they grow together as cadets.
Especially our Sam, played by Carice Brooks, the hologram character, because her mentor is one of my favorite Star Trek characters ever, the Doctor from Voyager. I love the Doctor.
Oh.
I squealed when he came back on my screen, which is why I really appreciated when we transitioned to the cadets. We should say that the first half of this show, we were focusing on specifically Aki, played by Holly Hunter, and Caleb, played by Sandra Rosta, and their kind of background, both in the younger version of Caleb and in where they are today, ahead of Starfleet. My critique of the show is they could have condensed that lore piece on the two of them to like a few minutes instead of how long that stretched. And then it kind of felt like a breath of fresh air when we got to the academy because we got to have more characters and brightness and silliness and fun with the action and drama and fear and angst.
And I'd add, I bet this episode would have been more interesting if they only hinted at the history between Caleb and Aki instead
That's a great point.
Literally showing us how they met, how they fell apart, and how they came back together.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Let us figure out why Caleb doesn't trust Aki and why Aki feels so guilty. And she herself, even as a captain, doesn't seem to trust Starfleet all that much.
Exactly. You don't have to spell out everything for us.
That's true. And they did, because this pilot is 75 minutes long.
It's long, but it's action-packed, a little violent, and it hits your favorite themes of trust and faith and friendships.
Yes, I loved that. I love that we're going to have people figure out if they can trust each other, this institution, themselves, especially in our two central characters of Caleb and Aki. And with the action, I was surprised by how much there was of the ships and the flying in the sky and the hitting other ships and this introduction of this villain character. And I also liked the action in the ship. Will not spoil what happens, but obviously, you know, they have to make it out if there's going to be a second episode of this show. I like that everyone's skills as individuals shined. Like,
yes,
be it their characteristics as aliens being beneficial, and also even like the way Caleb used to wire and steal ships and things, like those kinds of skills came in as helpful. And I like that moment. I love that in like an ensemble, especially YA story where it's like, well, I did spend this one summer doing this highly specific thing. And then suddenly that is like the key to get them out of whatever pickle that they're in.
I knew this would tickle that inner Trekkie you have in you. You're trying to hide it.
I'm not trying to hide it. You know, I have enjoyed many a Star Trek show series. I just don't think I've seen as much as you believe I've seen.
That's okay. I like the image I have in my head.
I know you do. I know you do.
And with that, will
Okay.
you watch more episodes of Star Trek Starfleet Academy on Paramount Plus?
Yes. I won't call myself a Trekkie because that's such a specific community, and game has to recognize game there, and I don't think their game would recognize mine. But I do know a little ball, and I think if you are a Star Trek fan, you will like this show. And if you're a YA fan, especially like new kid at academy to learn thing, which is such a clear YA theme, I think you would like this story too. And I don't think all the episodes are 75 minutes. I think that was just for the sake of this introduction. If they were all 75 minutes, this rating would be different. But, you know, you get to the first one that's like practically a movie, and then it's just a normal show from that point forward. And it seems like it's going to be really fun.
I agree with a lot of that. I would watch again casually. I am not a Trekkie. I have not seen that many Star Trek series or episodes.
Sure.
I think of you as like a Star Trek cadet, or maybe even an officer who could train me and teach me about the Star Trek world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll be fun to watch these students learn. The school setting is always fun, especially in a genre type of show, because there's a lot about the Star Trek universe they're probably going to teach us and what has changed since the previous series of them rebooting the Starfleet Academy. And so I'm ready for the ride.
Yeah, let's rebuild the Federation so that it works for people.
Because apparently it didn't, which is a little concerning.
It didn't. I'm a bit anti-Federation. I'm a bit Maquis. Star Trek people will know what that means.
I literally don't. Is that a character? Maquis?
It's like a rebel army.
Okay. What was your question?
Ooh, you don't remember? Okay, this is rare.
It was, what film
is your favorite?
Oh.
It's not complicated.
It was like that I would do a deep dive on that I'm like super passionate about.
No, just your favorite movie. I feel like in Wonder Man, I loved seeing the character to a point nerd out over a movie, because I feel like even if you don't like the thing, if someone is super passionate about it, it gets you into it.
What is my favorite movie?
I had one in mind that I thought is like your favorite.
Which one?
Scott Pilgrim.
That's up there. I don't know if it's the top or like number 2.
Okay.
I've seen Scott Pilgrim a lot. There was one summer when I worked at the college housing office, and I just watched it every day on my iPod Touch.
I know that's exactly right. iPod Touch and all. I get that.
So I definitely was like to the point where I knew the lines, and I was like, oh, okay, we're coming up on this part, and he's going to say this and she's going to say that.
We took so much money from that school just sitting at their desks watching TV. I watched all of Real Houses of Atlanta a couple times through, sitting at that student center desk.
You got to pass the time. That's a strong contender for number 1. I'm going to cheat and give 3 answers and also say Clue. So fun. You have to watch all the endings.
Yes.
And The Fifth Element. Probably one of my favorite sci-fi movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched The Fifth Element for the first time a couple years ago.
For the first time? I watched that in the 90s when we were definitely too young to be watching it.
Yeah. Especially me as someone who's younger than you. But yeah, that is so cool. I didn't know you were a Clue person. I love Clue.
Yeah.
Wow. I know exactly what we're doing in a couple weeks.
I don't know what that means, but I also watched the stage show, which is good. So if that comes to your city or near you, I recommend it. If you want to hear more of our favorite movies, but mostly TV shows, you can head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on Instagram at thepilotpod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.